he was the biggest fan of my Dream Band. Every time we recorded, I didn't like Jerry at times. I mean, he was great to my band, but he just, he could be a drag. I did the telethon a bunch of times. He loved my band so much that every time a new CD came out, where I just had a reel, I had to go to his house, and he took me into a room where he had about 10 reel-to-reels, and he'd make them for Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis. He'd make them all, before the album came out, he'd make them all tapes, or make them a record, he'd put a record, you know. And so he used to do that, but then again, I'll tell you 2 stories about Jerry Lewis. He used to have a guy who weighed about 500 pounds, and Jerry, very moody. When he get bugged, he'd go with a guy and hit the guy on the arm. You pay him 500 so he can whack him on the arm, you know, hit him in the arm and this and this. And the guy would take it. So, you know, so one time he hired the band. He loved the band. He hired us to do a thing with him at UCLA. And the band's all set up and curtains closed, and he came out to see me before, you know, and he was standing with me before everything was ready. And he put his hands up the box. So I put my hands up. Now he's throwing punches, but hard, and hitting me in my arms. He did it about 5 times, and you got to understand, when you hit me in the hands those days, it would stop me from playing what I had to play. You know, it was hard to play. After he did it the 5th time, I faked him into a hook, and he put his hand out, and I threw a punch, and luckily by the time he got to his face, it was my 5 fingers. I knocked him across the saxophone. Stanley, all the saxophone players, everybody, he fell across there and had to go up to the dressing room and put makeup on, because it was like 5 fingers, and his wife is sitting right there, and Lou Brown, his conductor, and as both of them said, best thing ever happened to him. His wife didn't look like he was giving him a problem. Lou hated him for years. So every time I do the telethon, he put his head, come to her, so he said, no, no. But he could be an asshole at the same time. He loved my big band, right? I'm sitting at home, because we only work 1 or 2 nights a week. Sitting home, must have been 10 o'clock at night, and I get a phone call. Hey, Terry. He's in Las Vegas. Hey, listen, you know what? I got an idea. We close tomorrow night, and I want to do an after-hours show, a closing thing, you know, for all the entertainers, the showgirls, everybody. And I want the Dream Band there. He says, you want to do it? So now he's got me up in the air. Wow, Las Vegas with the Dream Band. So he says, I said, yeah. He said, well, listen, I'll have a plane waiting for you at the airport. There's a chartered plane. You go there and tell them Jerry Lewis, and I'll meet you at the bar at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I got on a plane at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, whatever it was. I got there and took me to Las Vegas with a car limousine waiting for me, took me to the hotel, and I went to the bar. I had my suitcase, and I went to the bar. I didn't even know what was happening yet. You know, what do we do? This and this. And so I'm sitting at the bar waiting for him, and he showed up a little late, about 10, 15 minutes late, and he sit there, and I'm sitting here, and he got his back towards me. When I used to box, I used to get a burning feeling in my stomach, and so then you couldn't beat me. And so I was sitting there, and I got so bugged, I was getting a burning feeling. Rather than have a fight with anybody, I turned around, I said, what the fuck are you doing? I said, you got me all up, you brought me out to Las Vegas, and you're fluffing me off. I really told God. He said, oh, Terry, he said, I'm sorry, I just had some problem, and I'm bugged. He says, we'll get you a room, and then we'll talk about it. Tomorrow we'll straighten the whole thing out. I don't know what's happening. So anyhow, get the bellhop over there, and they get him a suite of rooms. They got me a suite of rooms, and I get a message the next day about 12 noon, that Jerry wants me to come to the 6 o'clock dinner show. I didn't even know what the hell was going on. And I went to the dinner show, and I'm sitting at the dinner show, and then 8 o'clock the show starts, you know, I finish it, and Jerry comes on stage, and still don't know what's going on. And he's doing a bit of his act, and starts introducing people in the audience, and this, and he says, and by the way, sitting in front of me is the greatest vibe player with the greatest big band in the world, And all of a sudden I see them, by the way, also, there were two arrangements that I gave him. One on Sweet Georgia Brown that he used to love to play, and one called Nose Cone that he used to love to conduct. He'd tap it off, and he would do this. He knew them, but Jerry, you ever see him, Paramount?
Yeah.
And so, but he remembers the music. He really remembered it. So he said, give me the biggest introduction, and I see them wheel a set of vibes out. And he gets me up on stage, and he said, Nose Cone. So now we played, and then he had a ballad, and Sweet George Brown, and I got like a standing ovation. And I said this, as I walked off the stage, Jack and Trotter, guy who ran all the entertainment at the Sands, which was the hippest place in town at that time, Jack and Trotter is standing backstage. Hey, listen, I have an opening up here, a 6-week opening with a quartet. Would you like to play? And all of a sudden, Jerry's all done. He walked out, saw me talking to Jack and Trotter. He said, what are you talking to him about? He said, I want to play my class. Well, you don't talk. I'm his manager. What are you going to pay him? He said, I'm going to pay him $1,400, which was a lot of money those days. 1961, 62, whatever it was. And so he says, $1,400. No, you're not. You're going to give him $2,500 and a room. So I went there and played for 6 weeks with my little group in the lounge. And there was Jerry worked there at night. Cole worked for a week. And Frank South. Everybody worked the Sands Hotel,